Let it be known that the milk will flow. Folk have been asking, and I've been teasing, so I guess it's time to finally get around to talking goats. Vault goats. But first, where do we find these blue, horny, and milk-having creatures? They reside in the desert, but not the Dragonfly Desert. The Oasis Desert is what we're looking for. So head on over and get to looking. And remember, the Dragonfly Desert has round cacti and tumbleweeds blowing about, while the Oasis one does not. So know your deserts. The herd themselves are not only quite skittish, but they are rather small too, especially when compared to beefalo herds. And chasing a horned beast down for a little murder session is practically impossible during mornings and dusk, so don't even waste your time. Instead, use one of the many below dark variants we recently crafted from our fallen bird friends to initiate the combat. And Volt Goats come with a decent chunk of health actually and pack a 25 damage per hit punch, but kiting is always an option. Just be mindful though that you will be only getting 2 hits in before dodging this time around. But here's another option for ya: murder under the cover of darkness. Goats catch some Z's once the moon is high enough, and this is a great time to commit almost genocide, as all the other goats will remain sleeping as you kill their friends and family right beside them. So great work. But again, don't kill them all. Volt goats repopulate just like beefalo do, but there must be at least one who remains in order to do so. So, you can either just leave them to be to reproduce in their current home area, or choose to relocate them for easier access potentially. The process is easy, but by golly is it annoyingly time consuming. For you see, you can't just quote unquote chase a goat across the map to your petting zoo, as the goat will always attempt to return to its original home. Instead, you got 2 options. You can either just kill all but one and then start slowly moving it to a new home area over and over and over again by chasing the goat a short distance, standing by as it just reacclimates to the new area, and you'll know it has once it starts moving beyond your intervention, and then just push it a bit further again to repeat the process. But if you really want to, you can attempt to just move the entire herd itself to a whole new area. And if you got the patience to do either one of those, you'll soon have your own herd nearby instead of having to just run to the desert every time you need to get your murder on. But to be honest, I would probably just keep the herd in the desert myself, as goats serve a limited use and you're really only going to want to kill them every now and then. Goats have a 25% chance to drop a Volt Goat horn, and it's an item that is used in only 2 recipes in the entire game: the Weather Pane and the Morningstar. We should remember the Weather Pane, as we have discussed it often here, but you will have to nab a gear and some down feathers from Moose Goose herself, or hit a little demon spawns if you wish to create one for yourself. Do so, and the Weather Pane can help you fell tightly packed trees in kind of a short amount of time, I guess. It can ease up some of the work when combating Toadstool's charge phase if you're playing in small groups or solo, or it can help you just deal a good set of damage against some slower or even perhaps stationary mobs like tentacles and or spider queens. But all in all, it's kinda just a weapon that will likely serve you better as a tool. But here's a weapon we've never discussed: the Morningstar. Quite easy to craft if I'm honest. The Morningstar isn't a typical melee weapon. It loses its durability when simply being held instead of being smacked on something, and it has electrical properties, which means it can increase its damage from 43.2 at its base to up to 72.3 damage to wet targets, and that is better than a Dark Sword, people. But remember that it's only gonna last you for 6 minutes. Oh, it also comes with a light source as well if you're into that. The electrical modifier makes it fantastic for spring combat, but make note that the living, breathing hentai of the caves, aka the depth worms, the hentai of a more stationary variety that dwell in the swamp, and the merms that do so as well, are technically wet at all times, making the Morningstar your weapon of choice when dealing with them very efficiently. But why are they called Vault Goats? Well, it's because the goat themselves can be charged via natural lightning strikes or other player electrical damage, like from the Morningstar or electrical darts. And in this state, the goats deal significantly more damage to the player and also stuns them for a moment or two, and that can easily lead to a bad news beard situation. However, the stunning effect can be negated with insulated clothing like the umbrella or the raincoat, so please get some before you start the combat. And be careful if you are wet during it too, as the goats can deal a whopping 62.5 damage to wet targets. Charged Volt Goats drop an item that many probably don't even know exists in this game: Electric Milk. On its own, it does very little sadly, but it will heal for 3 health, 12.5 hunger, and 10 sanity per drink. But just go the extra mile and throw in some honey and ice into a crockpot to create ice cream. A very, very unique food item. It may see no healing benefits whatsoever, but it will fill you up for 25 hunger while providing a sanity gain of 50 per munch, the highest of any food item in the entire game. But that's not all. Ice cream also drops your temperature by 40 degrees for 15 seconds, and yes, the effect can be pushed to bring temperatures down real low, so it does kinda stack. So be careful, you can literally freeze to death by eating too much ice cream in this game, and it's kinda hilariously awesome. But there you have it, everyone. A very short, sweet, but electrifying guide on one of the many mobs within the constant Vault Goats. I hope this helped. I hope you learned something new in this quick guide, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!